Hello and welcome to Dice Jesters. My name is Julie.
And my name is Dave.
And we are a merry, whimsical board game podcast where we dive deep into games with curious minds and, of course, a jester's grin. We feature 10 by 10 challenges where each season we commit to playing 10 games at least 10 times. Maybe sometimes more, depending on the game. And today we'll be discussing Ark Nova, which has officially made it to the Jester's Gambit. And huzzah! And what that means is if it makes it to the Jester's Gambit, we now sign this metaphorical contract with the game.
This blood oath
that we'll play it 10 times and maybe sometimes more. And I don't know, just based off first impression on the table, I don't know if we're going to play it more than 10 times because I don't know where we're going to eat for a little bit.
This is a massive game, but before we get into that, I did come with a query for the court, just real briefly, because I was so inspired by the theme of the game being in a zoo, or building a zoo, so we've been to the zoo together a few times now, but you haven't come forth to completely give me the information. But what is your favorite animal to see at the zoo, and why?
Does it have to be this zoo?
No. Okay. This metaphorical zoo that you've created, what would be your favorite animal exhibit at this zoo?
Well, I do have a favorite animal that I enjoyed visiting at a zoo.
Okay.
It's just not this zoo. It's not the zoo in Oregon.
Okay, well, what's your favorite animal exhibit you've ever seen at a zoo in any place you've ever been?
Okay. Thank you.
Like in this lifetime? Or
yeah, in one of my 9 lives.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I have 2. And the first one I'm not sure if I talked about before, but I know I've kind of told you. So in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I got to know a lot of the zoo workers, the zoologists, the zookeepers, the janitors.
It doesn't surprise me whatsoever. They're like, please go home.
No, they were so cool.
I know,
they gave me this pass for me to come after hours. And so they do have zoo nights, but I literally got a visitor's pass to come after hours. So that was really cool.
That does sound really cool.
So I was there often, and I would just walk around, get to know the animals. And one day, I was looking at the cobra, and they have a big female cobra. I forgot her name. Oh, okay. So they know me so much, I got to name the baby giraffe.
What?
Yeah. I forgot why I didn't know that story.
That is a huge... Did it, make the newspapers and stuff?
No, it made
your face next to the giraffe?
No.
I don't think that you're not a huge fan of giraffes, though.
Not really. Okay. No. Their necks kind of freak me out. Why do they have to be so long? Yeah, so... I mean, they have to, wobble down like a child to drink from the watering hole. It just seems unnecessary.
If anybody's wondering, our conversations are like this in real life every day, too.
They are. That's why I tell Dave that every day is an adventure.
That's amazing. So they selected you to pick... Okay, well, what was the baby giraffe's name that you provided?
Honestly, I don't remember, but it started with a Z. It was Yeah, I don't remember. I know it started with a Z, though. So if you Google it, there's a Z name. That's mine.
Well, you'll have to take me there sometime so we can go visit this
giraffe that I named.
I wonder if it would recognize you, too.
Well, I never, met it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't meet it. I did watch it. Was it the hippo or the giraffe I watched? They're both kind of in the same area. They're, right across from each other. But one of those I watched be born. It might have been this giraffe.
Sounds like you spent a lot of time at the zoo.
I did. I spent so much time at the zoo that I got to hear the lion roar. And, I mean, I don't know how zoos are all over the world, but in Milwaukee, the zoo that had, the building that has the lion in it is blocked. It has glass or whatever, so you can see it kind of yawning and roaring but you can't hear it. It must be soundproof or something close to that, which would make sense because the kids screaming would probably make the lions mad.
Right.
But they were transferring the lion because they kind of transfer them around a little bit to have outside enrichment, and I don't know what it was doing, but it roared and I felt it in my soul.
Was it scary?
Let's just say that if I was in Africa and a lion roared at me, it would not be an animal that I would want to go pet.
It would be one of the few animals you couldn't take on.
Right. But yeah, so the animal that's my favorite, back to it, is the cobra. So one day I had gone, I don't know why, I stared at the snakes the most for some odd reason.
Doesn't surprise me.
But I don't, want a pet snake, though.
True.
Right.
But we did go to the reptile expo, and that was pretty cool. There was that huge snake there, remember?
That snake was mad.
There were 8 people holding it, and then it started to freak out, and people were screaming. My gosh. Yeah. Anyway, that's the story for another day.
Yeah, but, so there's a cobra, and I had noticed one day, she peeked up at me, and she started kind of climbing the glass up as I started to stand up, because I would, crouch and, stare in her little basket. And then when she had moved her head to, make eye contact with me, I realized, can you hear me? I did, a whole Harry Potter thing. I was can you hear me?
Was it basilisk or basil?
Possel mouth?
Yeah. I don't know where this is coming from.
But... So I started to stand up, and she was standing taller with me because they can get pretty tall. Honestly, I think they can get, up to a human. It was, 6 feet or something. I don't know. They can get pretty tall.
God.
I don't know if it's 6 feet. Might be over dramatizing it. But I was talking to a zookeeper, and they were telling me, oh, do you know cobras have facial recognition? So she must recognize you if you visit so often, and now she recognizes you as a friend. And I was like, what?
A friend? You made friend with a cobra.
So then, every time I came, even if she was, sleeping or something, she would, wiggle up and see me, and then she would come to that part of the cage. And I remember this one time I had gone, all these kids were surrounding the cage because they were like, oh, I want to see the cobra. I don't know. It was just a busier day. And I had gone up to the cage, and she had slithered up to my corner and started going taller, right? And a little kid kind of, pushed me out of the way, and then she quickly, dove down and went into her basket and coiled up.
Oh.
I was like, oh.
She didn't recognize the kid.
Yeah, I guess not. But it was really cool. So every time I went to the zoo, I made sure to make a point to go visit her.
Well, I'm glad that you have a cobra friend out there that maybe you could take me to the zoo sometime if we're ever there visiting. So we can see the giraffe, we can see the cobra, and honestly, what sounds like a pretty cool zoo.
I mean, I prefer it over the Oregon Zoo.
Yeah, the Oregon Zoo is okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. But I'm excited about Ark Nova. It sounds like...
Oh, you aren't going to share your special experience?
Oh, you want to know my favorite...
Oh, I'm scared.
Can you guess my favorite animal at the zoo? What do I get the happiest about when we go see?
Naked mole rats.
Naked mole rats are out there.
You seem to like the birds, too.
The birds are cool.
I'm trying to think. There's a shaky animal that you like.
I like the penguins.
Oh, that's right. You like the penguins. Oh. You're do you not like penguins because they're birds? I'm like, I dread penguins.
They just bring a smile to my face. I like seeing them waddle around, and then... Because the last time we were there, they were hopping into the water and swimming around and racing each other and, hopping out of the water like dolphins, And then we went around the corner, and there was another one that was just kind of swimming in circles. But then it came up to the glass and was looking at us and stuff, and it was a special moment. So I like watching the penguins. I like that they give a rock as a gift,
a smooth pebble,
to a soulmate in form of an offering or something. I don't really know how that works, but
are you gonna give me a rock?
Yeah, of course. I already did.
I know.
I'm excited, now even more excited to play Ark Nova. I know that we both love animals and talk about animals constantly. We really do. Going out for walks and seeing creatures. We saw a beaver. We got really excited about that.
Yeah.
Seeing deer.
I saved a bee.
Hawks. Yeah. Oh, you tried to save a dragonfly.
Oh, yeah, there was a dragonfly.
We went for a walk.
Yeah, I was trying to put it up higher because its wing was broken, and I didn't want it to be on the trail because a dog would have ate it.
But now I know that you have this whole history with being kind of like a honorary zookeeper of sorts. I like that movie Zookeeper, right?
Oh my gosh.
But in this game, we're actually going to be building a zoo.
Yeah.
And the best zoo. What were your initial thoughts looking at the game?
It looked like you could get sponsors like a real zoo, so that's pretty neat. You could get an animal, and then you build a habitat. And it kind of has tile laying with the hexagons.
Yeah.
And maybe some worker placement of some sort because there's some cubes.
A little bit.
Yeah. All I can think of is just how it doesn't fit on the table. It
doesn't. Okay.
Literally sits off the table. Maybe this table that we do the recording on is the same height as the table that we play on. So perhaps we could buddy them up together to extend the table.
Oh, you know, that may actually work. Which, by the way, in this episode, we're just discussing our first impression on the table before playing the game, and then we'll come back and talk about what it was like to learn the game, and then eventually, at the very end, talk about our whole experience playing the game at least 10 times in one episode. So that's... Right now, we have the game set up. I haven't even read the rules yet. I wanted to take a different approach in this one, where it was like truly first impression for both of us, because usually I'll take a couple days, read through the rules, and then like I'll know a lot about the game when you go and look at things set up on the table. But I just followed the rule book to the point of like setting up the game, but I haven't actually read it yet. So this is true like first impression for both of us, not knowing anything about it, which I thought would be fun to do. And it was funny. I was telling you about this experience that I had setting up Ark Nova, which for the first time in any game that we've played so far, I could not fit on our table. Mm-hmm. We have, I don't know the actual size, but we got it from IKEA, and everything's been able to fit. I think the tightest fit was probably Feast for Odin, but I was able to get it all just right on there.
Yeah.
But this one, I spent a lot of time. There's like this really long board, like main board, and then you have your individual player boards. There's 2 storage trays, and then there's like this sideboard where it has, looks like some kind of like bonuses that you can get and things like that. But the sideboard has slots at the top and bottom for cards. You have your own player board, which has a slot at the bottom for cards. And then the long board spans almost the length of the table. Not quite, but it's like long enough where you can't really utilize anything around it on either side. It's funny because we talked about a Feast for Odin and how I'm not really great at like puzzling spatial things together. And I felt like I was playing a Feast for Odin when I was trying to set this up on the table. Like, oh, if I just put it right over here and then I move this to the side. So I spent like 30 minutes trying to position things just right. And then I realized, no matter how I move things around, it's not going to fit. So this drives me a little bit batty. You use a bird.
Okay.
How many animals?
I do like the bats at the Oregon Zoo.
The bats are
but
cool.
I do like the bats in the Milwaukee Zoo better.
Yeah. I had to extend the long main board slightly off the table. So it's just hanging there.
Lupin is going to knock that off.
And then furthermore, the individual player boards at the bottom slot, you have to put these 5 action cards. And they're hanging slightly off the table. Which I was like, okay, well that I could be okay with, because it actually serves a purpose where they're easier to lift up, because you just like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I can see on the positive side of this, but the edge of the board hanging off the table is just far enough that I'm not going to be able to stop looking at it. So I like your idea. We have this portable desk thing. Maybe we could put that adjacent to the table. Yeah. But all that to say, if you haven't been able to tell, this game is really like physically big. It's like a really, really big game.
But, unlike Feast for Odin, I'm not intimidated by this game. Maybe because it's animal themed.
Is it the theme? Or
it might be.
The board and everything is huge, but there's not huge. All those tiny little components all over the place. There's not like a bunch of resources. You have cubes that it looks like you place on another board, and then there's like 4 workers that you have, and then cards, and then a huge stack. It's like 150 cards in the game. And I was just glancing at some of them, and I'm pretty sure they're all unique different animals, and then there's some like other kinds of cards that are mixed in there too. It's like some projects and some sponsorships or something like that. So, well, I have some reading to do. The rule book's a little bit big, so why don't I go read the rules?
Yes.
And then I'll teach you the game.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. I hope there's little sea turtles. Little sea turtle babies. And we are back after our first play of Ark Nova, and I have to say that the first play took a little bit, just because there was multiple things in Ark Nova going on, from just kind of how you take your turn to all the different animals and how they do different actions, or give different bonuses, or have special placement items. But after you break through all of that, I think our next games won't be like 2.5 hours.
Well, do you want to try to take a stab at explaining what the game... Because initially I had barely even read the rules, so what even is this game about?
So you're building a zoo, and in this zoo you want to make sure that you have animals, but not only having animals, but you want to do some research, some conservation. You want to make sure that those animals are having their best lives. So some animals may need bigger cages than others. and you need to supply that for them. And as a researcher, you also may need to get specialized habitats, whether that's like Africa or Europe or Asia, just to better accommodate your new found species within your zoo. And the move of it is, on your turn, you get to choose between 5 different actions, depending on where the action is on your board. So there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 section. If the action is all the way on number 5, it performs something greater. So if you want to lay down a habitat that could take on an animal requiring 5 spaces, you would have to either use your special tokens to make the building action a 5, or you have to wait until the building action is a 5 to get there. And the game ends when the ticket icon, I'm not quite sure what that's called.
I think it was an appeal. Yeah, there's an appeal track and then a conservation track going the opposite direction.
Yeah, when those two cross, and usually whoever crosses it first tends to be the winner.
Yeah, and then it's whoever made their tracks crossed the most that wins, because there's some end game scoring stuff that pushes it further down the track. So first experience learning the game, it took me, I read through the rulebook twice, and I felt like I had a pretty good grasp of it. It seemed pretty straightforward, but I did find as we were playing our first game that I did have to go back to the rulebook quite a bit, and it slowed down the first game, I would say pretty significantly, just because I feel like you can kind of understand the flow of the game. That's a pretty simple concept of just choosing an action, moving it down, and then pushing the other cards up, which increasingly gets more and more powerful. Trying to fill in your board, the zoo enclosures stuff, conservation projects, that all makes pretty much straightforward sense. But when you start playing the game, there's kind of like these nuanced circumstances that come up, whether it's text on the cards, or can you place things here, or how does that work? It requires you, or at least required me, to have to go back and consult the rules several times. So our first round, I don't know how long, we started playing at like 10 a.m. and we didn't wrap up until what?
1 p.m. But that was with rules,
right,
and referencing the rule book.
Yeah, and I tried my best. I wanted to go into this. I think that with the right instruction style, you could probably get somebody going pretty quick in this game. But I found myself explaining the rules just so I would reinforce them for my own understanding. And it kind of slowed down. It took me maybe like 20 minutes for us to get going. And then the initial play, it was around like 2 hours, I would say, which felt pretty long. You and I, we haven't played too many games that have been on the real long end, which I would consider 2 players anything more than, I would say, an hour 15, maybe an hour 20 minutes. I would consider long, at least for us. And so this felt like a long game. We got to the end like, wow, we've been sitting here for quite a while. We need to get up and go for a walk or something. So this was pretty intense from that standpoint. I don't think the gameplay felt intense, though. What did you think of the complexity of the rules and all of that?
Yeah, I thought the gameplay itself was pretty smooth and easygoing. You can either do your action, whichever action you want to do, and then afterwards, that's your turn. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Depending on what animals you have in your hand, it will give you what they can do or what they do for you on the card. So you didn't have to really reference the rulebook in that manner, which makes it a lot easier. I do appreciate when the actions or the special effects, the abilities of said card is listed on the card. So that's something that I appreciate in Bruges, that it's listed there, because I had heard that Hamburg doesn't list the actions on the cards anymore.
Oh, interesting.
I heard that.
Icons or something?
Yeah, but I've never seen them. Something that came across.
Yeah, I think what I appreciate about the card design itself is all the icons are clearly displayed at the top, and then it explains what they are below. So you can just reference the icons or you can read the text. But then as you place the cards out, you can cover up previous cards up and just look at the symbols for meeting the requirements of other things, or giving you ongoing income or end game scoring and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so far the game, the way it feels, it doesn't feel that it's so restrictive or anything of that nature. It feels like anybody could play. It's a game where it's competitive, but it's kind of hidden behind cute animals.
Which I felt pretty immersed into the theme. I don't know about you. We were like talking about animals the whole time. Or at least I was thinking about animals the whole time. I know. When I got the petting zoo.
I know, and you had to put the guinea pig. And then you asked me, you're like, both of these are the same. Should I put the alpaca in? Or what was that?
It was like a parakeet or a lorikeet.
Like that. Yeah. And I was like, obviously the alpaca.
Yeah, and you said that you thought that it was more an animal that you thought I would like in real life, which is true. I do like alpacas. But, this is a game that's really highly regarded. A lot of people really love it. I can see the appeal of it. It's just hard for me to tell after one round, and that's kind of why I do like coming back with first impressions, because it, to me, gives a clear example of what it might feel like the first time you play it, and then after several more times. If you had to make predictions about where this game will end up in terms of things that'll stand out to you, does anything come to mind?
End out in what way? Like, who's gonna win?
No, like different aspects within the next 9 plays that will come to surface.
Yeah, I think that this first round, this learning round, I got very distracted by the points. But just because you're on the other side of the board in the 70s doesn't mean you're going to get 70 points. So next time we play it, as we go in these 9 additional rounds, I'm not going to give that much attention. I'm going to go about it a little different. I do have a few strategies that I already know that I'm going to try. So yeah, that's exciting.
I think after one play, you said the fact that you have some ideas for strategies in mind. I do feel like both of us will get a lot more competitive with those conservation projects and trying to fulfill those. I think paying more attention to the end game stuff that you have in your hand. You start with 2 cards. And then finding a way to make the cards work together. Like the first game, all these cards are coming out, you're drawing cards, and you don't really know what cards are important or which ones to keep in your hand or discard.
See, I thought I was doing that because I had Australia, and I had a researcher that every time you use an Australian card, you can put a card under it to get points, right? Yeah. And so I thought I was chaining it, but it doesn't matter.
So you got distracted. You found your rats in the game. You're trying to build your tableau. You were like, this tableau builder will be different. It's gonna be different this time. I'm gonna beat Dave in it, but I'm the master tableau builder.
Between us,
because I won this first game. That's cool. I was excited, but actually, that is a good point. Like getting caught up in the tableau building, like you can do that, but I also think that there's ways that you could use cards to your advantage to do things beyond just chain together little bonuses that you have. Like, again, looking at the conservation projects, or there's one that you can get from your hand out, because those give you a lot of points.
Right.
But then also thinking about how to balance the appeal points that go one way with the conservation points that go the other. And I think in the first game, you seem to really want to get your appeal tracker all the way around as quick as you could, but you barely moved your other one up.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I'm beating Dave. And I'm like, no, you're not, because if you look at the other side of the board, I'm going way up this conservation track. And then I was able to get a few out really quick to move my marker past my conservation one. So
I love how that was your thought, like, oh, I'm beating Dave. I don't always think about beating you initially.
What was your favorite animal that came out in the first game?
My favorite animal that came out in the first game? I like the mandrills.
The what?
The mandrills.
What are those?
Oh, it's a primate. Oh, you don't have it at the Oregon Zoo.
Yeah.
Mandrills are the primates with the very colorful face. Like, it's blue, red, the scary teeth when they open it. They look cuddly, but then, they could definitely eat you alive.
Did you find yourself wanting to play cards of animals you liked more than for their actual functional ability?
Yeah, so there was actually a card that I had laid down just because I was able to lay it down, and I thought, oh, this should be good. I forgot what it was specifically called, but it was one of the researchers.
Yeah.
And I had laid it down thinking that you would continue adding birds to your aviary, and you didn't, but it was anytime a card with a bird icon was laid down, I would get three points.
Oh.
But you didn't do that. Nor did I, because... So, yeah, I was going for a primate heavy zoo.
Okay.
Because, I don't know, I like them. I think it's cool that you can teach a lot of them sign language, and they can do a bunch of cool things.
Like, what was that one? Coco? Wasn't there
Coco?
Yeah.
We had, like, Samson.
Okay.
Do you know who Samson is?
No.
Oh. Okay. Maybe everybody has kind of like their smart
regional,
primates.
Yeah, smart, exactly. Favorite primates.
Yeah, I like them. I like them a lot.
Wow. Well,
what was your favorite? The guinea pig? Because you did get it.
The guinea pig, the alpaca, but they didn't, I wouldn't say that those were my favorite in terms of what they did for the game, but I also saw, what was it? There was a hornbill in there, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I guess I must have not seen it. Maybe it was just in your hand.
Yeah, I don't know if that I was able to use it, but then there were some cool reptiles and stuff.
Yeah, the reptiles were kind of funny
in this game.
Mm-hmm. I remember I had asked you about one of yours, and I thought that the symbol was the petting zoo, and I was like, "Why is there an anaconda in the petting zoo?"
You were like, you were saying it'd be funny if you could put any animal in the petting zoo.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna put
the crocodiles. Hey, you can pet crocodiles, okay? In the Philippines, we have saltwater crocodiles, and we have them in our aquatic areas, and you can meet them. They're fine as long as you're experienced.
As long as you don't show fear. I'm like, how do you not show fear?
You just, you control your heart rate and you just chill with it.
Oh, man. Well, we'll see how well my heart rate does playing the next 9 rounds, if I do well or not.
I'm gonna change the theme of my zoos every round, and you're like, no, you need to diversify. And I'm all like, well, this is an elephant from Asia, and this is an elephant from Africa. That's pretty diverse.
Yeah. I never base how the rest of the 9 rounds are going to go based off the first one, because I usually win the first one because I've read the rules, I know it a little bit. But then you usually find a strategy in rounds 2 or 3, maybe 4, and then you end up winning the last several. So we'll see how this one goes.
Okay, sounds good. I look forward to it. So we will play 9 and or more rounds, depending on how it goes, and report back. I feel like just based off this first one, it might be a little bit. So we might forget about our first impressions, but...
So sorry if we repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
But it might be a while before we sit down and record the next segment. It's not going to be today. We're not going to pull a 5 tribes all-nighter.
Yeah, definitely not. And we are back after our 9 additional plays of Ark Nova, and you heard that right. We just did 9. We decided to only give this game 10 plays. If you haven't played Ark Nova and want to play, just be aware that it is going to be a long game, so that's kind of why we decided to just do 10 plays. If you have played Ark Nova, then you know. You know how long the game is. It
takes a minute.
It takes a while, yeah, especially if you have more players. So I feel personally, right off the bat, from explaining it, if you want to know a little bit more about our first thoughts and you just kind of skip to this 3rd section, feel free to just, go back to the other ones. But for Ark Nova, I feel that this would be best as a 2-player game.
I agree.
Just because it seems like it would take a lot longer.
Yeah. How long did our first round take? It was like 2.5 hours.
It was
It was pretty long. And I don't feel as though adding more players in this game would do anything beneficial for the game. It wouldn't add anything to the experience, from what I can see, unless I'm missing something. But I do think that it's best as a 2-player game, and especially once you get the hang of the game, and you can get that playtime down, that does seem to be the sweet spot.
Yeah, and I do feel that it is a good family game because you have the animals that would attract younger kids of the house. They would be kind of into it. And by younger kids, I would probably wait to maybe at least 10. Because
attention span wise, can you imagine like a 7-8-year-old trying to sit through a 2.5-hour game? Yeah,
it's a bit of a long game. But I think that they would really appreciate the animals, and you could even do a little Q&A with the animals. I mean, I did for Dave, and Dave's a grown man, so...
Well, did you learn any animal facts while we played this game? That's the question.
No, there wasn't any animal facts to learn. Kind of like, so in Wingspan, I really appreciated that some of the bird card... Well, wasn't it most of the bird cards?
All the bird cards,
yeah. They had the bird facts on them.
Mm-hmm. They had the wingspan measurements,
everything. Did. And I thought that was really a unique concept, and a concept that I really appreciate. And I kind of thought, I know that the makers, designers, publishers of Ark Nova is completely different from Wingspan, but with Ark Nova being so heavily animal-based, I was excited to see maybe some informational facts about it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're building a zoo, I was very interested in like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to have to get this certain food for this animal, kind of aspects like that. And then after playing it the first initial time, it was, oh, okay, I'm not learning about animals.
Yeah.
The information on the card is either an effect, a bonus, or something that you may need to lay down said animal.
And then once you lay it down, it no longer is relevant other than the icons that are on the card.
Right. So, with that, I would say that this game, so far, and I never want to turn into the person that's like, this game has the most drastic of changes from my first perception for like every game, Yeah. But I do firmly believe that so far, this game has had the biggest transition from my first play to the 10th play.
I would say my transition of my perception of the game changed around play 7 or 8, around there for the last few plays.
Right. I think mine changed at the 4th game. Is that... When did I start winning? Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of our stats.
Let's talk about some of
Let's talk about the winner. The winner, Chick-fil-A for dinner. Julie.
So you won the game 6-4.
Okay.
And I won the first 3 plays of the game. And then you won all of them after that. And then I won the last one.
Yeah.
I do feel that that's a trend. Like, we play a game, I teach it to you, and then the first few plays of the game I win, and then you figure something out, and then come back and then win a lot consecutively in a row.
I'm sure we could do a whole episode on analytics of the win trend.
Oh, this makes us tied in the 10x10 challenge, though, because I've won 2, and now you've won 2. I won Trajan and Geekopolis, and you have Feast for Odin and Ark Nova.
Okay.
You feel more proud because it's a longer game?
Because I have Feast for Odin.
Okay, yeah.
Because that game had so much going on.
I could not get good at that game.
No.
But
when I saw this game, I had a feeling that I was going to win too, initially thinking that it involved the map,
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I was like, perfect. It's another Tetris-like game where Dave's going to have to figure out how to fit shapes into places. But then later I found out, no, that's not it.
It's not too bad really in terms of puzzling it together. And I thought I would do good at the game because I looked at all the cards and thought, oh, okay, this is a tableau building game.
Right.
I'm going to win because Geekopolis.
And that's why I was losing.
Yeah.
The first 3 games I lost because I thought it was like a tableau building game. And I was trying to build this tableau that didn't exist.
And that's where maybe we can talk about how our perception changed over the course of 10 rounds. Because I would say for the first 3 to 4, 5, maybe even 6 rounds, I was looking at it through the lens of this is an engine building, tableau building game where I'm trying to pick a strategy. I'm trying to lay down cards that match into that strategy and build an engine that will get me to victory. Mm-hmm. And that worked for me for the first few rounds, but notably those first few rounds were the longest games that we played.
Right.
I found that if you try to focus too much and do a certain thing really well, the game can drag on because the game is triggered
for the cards.
by those 2 markers crossing each other. And if you're waiting for cards to come up, you're not doing things that advance the markers. And so since it's dependent on that, it can really stretch the game on. So although I won, there were longer games. And then in later rounds, my mentality shifted to, okay, maybe I shouldn't focus on trying to hunt through this deck of 100 plus cards to find these specific symbols and icons and everything. I'm just going to play what's in my hand and try to move up the track as fast as I can. And although I only won the last game, that dramatically decreased our playtime. And I was like, I think this is actually how the game was intended to be played. Not how I thought it was when I first saw it, but how it became for both of us in the later rounds.
You had it in my mind as a tableau building game, which is why I lost. Because I suck at tableau building games. And I thought that I had to start with whatever was in my hand, where I had the Expert of Africa. So I put the Expert of Africa down, and then I only wanted to get Africa. So I was waiting for everything that was Africa evolved, right? And then the game took forever. I was discarding so many cards. I was playing the card game, the card so many times. And then it clicked just to race you to the end. And then I was just like, you know what? It's a tactical game. You get a hand of cards, play your hand of cards, race the person. There you go.
And how did those later rounds feel now that when we started approaching it in that way?
So when I started to get into the race mentality, I would look at the cards that provided multiple bonuses as opposed to just like that ticket point. So if you noticed, as the games went on, I would have one that had an education and then like the tickets, or it would move me up on the green track and the tickets, or it would have something like that where it would allow me to move up more than something. So I might have taken longer to lay down an animal, but then when I laid it down, it still would, I would get closer to you or I would lap you because I waited for being able to afford that or having the habitat to put it in.
You have some massive turns where I thought I was winning and then you zoomed ahead of me and then ended the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
It kind of reminded me of Castles of Burgundy where you thought you were winning.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be like points ahead and I'm just like, okay.
Moving up the track.
Just like, that's fine.
How's the weather down there? And I'm like, I'm going to win. And then I'm completely wrong.
Yeah.
Because especially when you start getting into that association board and you're like, oh, I'm going to upgrade my association card so that I can make a donation at the end of each turn that I go in there. And then boom, I'm moving up this track. And then once you get to a certain point, those markers or those spots become a lot bigger, so you move further and further up. And then game is over before you know it. It ramps up pretty intensely.
Yeah. Now some items that I would give feedback on. And before I get roasted, I'm going to end it with something positive so that
this is like the sandwich method.
The sandwich method. So the feedback I personally feel is valid. When you play an animal card down into the habitat, that animal card, depending on what it says, kind of becomes obsolete. You have it to get the bonuses. What's that green card called?
The conservation
cards. So it's useful for the conservation cards. But let's say that somebody messed up because you're playing the game too quickly and you're trying to audit your map. It takes a while because now you don't really know what habitat belongs to what animal. And necessarily it doesn't matter unless that animal has habitat specifications, like by water or by rock.
True.
Or in a petting zoo. So that, to me, I feel that the animal cards should signify something within the zoo so that they correlate with one another. Because you really could just cover it up. So that helped me, though, for the conservation, because then I didn't make the animal cards important in my head. And I just thought, oh, okay, when I have to release one, I'll just release one. It's not going to matter, you know? I didn't feel a weird connection to this object.
The pictures get covered up as you lay them out, so it's no longer, oh, this is my guinea pig.
Yeah.
Although you can't...
Even though you really got a guinea pig every single time.
I know, you can't release the guinea pigs into the wild. It's not an option in the game. That'd be kind of interesting, but...
Well, in Guatemala, aren't guinea pigs actual animal? Like, they aren't really pets. They run around.
What?
Yeah, I'm like 90% sure. See, now you gotta be questioning. No, in Guatemala, I swear, they're just a...
Is there a guinea pig kingdom that you can go to?
I'm sure. I don't know. You can see them frolicking, I guess. You're like, they don't frolic.
Amongst the ancient Mayan ruins.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
You know what? Look at that. I need to know if I'm right. But anywho, so that's just kind of something where I personally just don't enjoy things when they become obsolete in some way, you know? And if the conservation cards don't have any use for that animal card, then it really does become a voided card, you know? You use it, you get your point, and then you're kind of done with it. The other aspect that I think would make it a little bit more challenging or just kind of add depth to it would be to feed your animals. So at the end of the coffee break, when it triggers the end of that specific round, I think it would be a unique additive to it, and maybe they have an expansion. Do they have an expansion for it that adds this? I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know. I know that there is an expansion for the game. I don't know what it adds specifically. Yeah. I think more cards, different, I think, aquatic animals.
Oh, there's aquatic animals? Yeah. That's cute. But I think it would be a neat aspect to have to feed the animals in your zoo.
Yeah.
So then that way somebody can't just win it by... I don't know. So my play style, if you've been listening for the 4 seasons, is that more... It's that more competitive, where I like to have end of round, what are those called?
You like restrictions.
Restrictions, yeah.
You like restrictions.
I like very restrictive games. So the feedback I have, it just makes the game restrictive, and I know that's not for everybody. So
right.
It's okay if you like the game how it is, and that's completely fine. I just feel that it would be interesting to add an expansion that gave real life restrictions to make the zoo more so like a zoo where you have to feed the animal, and you can't just feed the animal whatever you want. If you have a koala, for example, you need to have that like eucalyptus leaf, or if you have lions, you need pounds of meat to feed their hunger. I think that would be a unique turn on it, and it would allow for that thematic immersion to the game, as opposed to, okay, I laid down this monstrous like elephant that's huge and took up this 5 space, but it's self-sustaining. It doesn't need anything from me. And then the kiosk and the pavilions would be really neat if you actually had individuals come in and purchase from them. So you had to upkeep that as well. And then you kind of had to choose, like, do I upkeep the elephant ear pavilion or kiosk, or do I upkeep the slushy machine? Just those little things I feel would make it more thematic to the zoo. And I just have, if you want to call it critical feedback, I mean, sure, but I just have this feedback because I just generally had a time in life when I wanted to be a zoologist, and I had that whole zoo thing, went to the zoo a lot, did all these things. So I was very excited for this game, thinking that it was going to be that way. So it was bad on my part to think that it was going to be that way instead of just allowing it to show how it played. But other than that, when it became like a race, I was like, hee 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 hee. I would like do little things that you wouldn't notice so that I could crisscross applesauce and pow!
I agree with everything that you said, and I do think it would be cool. Like, even if you could, let's say you get a certain animal in your zoo, that requires a special kind of specialist that you have to hire and upkeep. You have to pay at the end of each round.
Because it's true. That's how zoos work. You need like a primate specialist if you have a primate, or you have to call one in.
Exactly. Or if there were long-term factors or implications for putting certain animals into your zoo, like, oh, I have too many bears. I need like a more diverse array of animals within my zoo. Otherwise, my guests are going to become bored, or they're not going to want to come. Or there was guest satisfaction or something that you had to upkeep. And then, like you said, it's not just you place it in and then you're done, but there's like ongoing either benefits or ramifications for getting that certain animal in your zoo. Yeah.
And my final piece of feedback, and this isn't really like feedback to the game, I just think it would make it kind of more fun. Not more fun, but maybe like just add a little aspect of maybe just a little bit of competitive, or just a little bit of that interaction with the other player is when you get your green one. I keep forgetting. What's the
conservation?
Is that the conservation track? Is that what that is? The green track.
Oh, yeah. I believe it's the conservation track.
Yeah, so when you get that one to, I believe it's 9 or 10, you have to get rid of one of the end of game cards. And I think it'd be really neat that instead of getting rid of one, that it became open to the whole table for those individuals to score off of it. And so you would have to choose to either open one that benefits you and not the other player, or you would keep yours and have that solely like benefit you.
Oh, so you're saying out of the 2 end of game cards you get at the beginning of the game, when it hits that point, you would choose one to keep for yourself privately, but then the other one would become public that everybody, including you, would score on?
Yeah, so it could either do that, or that other one gets traded with the other person, and then the other person can score off of that as well.
Oh, like a drafting kind
of. Just to like add like just a little something. Because then I feel, depending on who you're playing, it could A, either kind of confuse them, B, make them happy that maybe they had 2 bad cards and now they're like, ooh, okay, I could score off of this. It's kind of adds that kind of drafting aspect, as you said, but also that, I wouldn't say like trickery, but it adds that hidden where maybe you are looking at their cards and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be detrimental to them. They're not going to score off of this. But maybe they have something that they are preparing for and they're like, this is perfect.
It's perfect for me.
So I don't know.
That would be really cool because it would add that element of, I have these 2 end of game scoring cards. One of these is good for me. One of these isn't great for me right now. However, it'll be really, really good for my opponent or opponents looking at what you have in front of you. Which would be better to play?
Yeah, exactly.
Do I play the one that would least benefit me now, but I can work toward it within the next couple of rounds that are left in the game? Or do I open that up and then allow you the opportunity to score a bunch of points at the very end?
Yeah, I think it'd be really fun because then makes you either change up your game or try to change up the other person's.
It would force you to have to watch what other people are doing, because right now it doesn't. There are some cards, some sponsor cards that say anytime anybody puts any of this symbol into their zoo, you get 2 coins or 2 track movements or whatever it is. And that's the only time I found myself watching what you were putting into your zoo.
Yeah. But again, this is our play style where we like to play competitive against each other and feel like we're playing to affect each other's
Yeah, or we have to watch each other really closely.
Yeah. But that was all the feedback I had before I finished this sandwich. Did you have any feedback?
I guess the only feedback that I had, everything that you said were things I was thinking, minus the idea of the end game scoring cards. Yeah. That would be really, really cool. But I found myself in this game finding some of the keeping track of the sponsor cards that you put in front of you a little bit finicky, and to the point where I might have forgotten to do a couple of the benefits. There's a lot of circumstantial types of things that you can get, like every time you place on a border piece, you get this, or every time you place next to a water, you can get that, or every time you place this into your zoo, you can get this, or anybody placing this can get that. And it's just like a level of fiddliness that I feel like almost detracted from the game, but to the point where I chose not to pay close attention for the benefit of the experience of playing the game. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was okay with missing it a few times because I didn't feel like keeping track that closely, but it probably wasn't to my benefit to not pay close attention.
Yeah, because some of them give you like coins and stuff. Now that I feel the same way about that as well, especially when I had like 15 cards. She's like, I missed something. And then you were just like, when did you miss that? And I was like, I missed it because you laid that down. Why'd you lay that down?
I thought of another really cool thing that, actually when I was packing up the game, I had this idea. So there's 5 action cards in the game, and unless I'm missing something, it is only possible to upgrade 4 of those 5. There'll always be one that you can't upgrade. Did you notice the same thing, or were you able to upgrade all 5?
No, the highest I upgraded was 4.
Okay, I think it's only possible to do 4 if you look at everything. So then there's the sponsorship tokens that you can get from different countries. There's only spots for 4 of those. So every game, at most, you'll have 4 of the 5. So there's always a 5th that you can't have.
Wait, are you talking about the X tokens?
No, the sponsor.
Oh,
the partnership with the handshake and the different icons. So there's that. But then there's the universities, which give you an immediate bonus, just a one-time, except for they give you symbols, track movement, or they increase your hand limit to 5, which is beneficial. But there are 3 spots for the university tokens and 3 possible tokens that you can get. It'd be cool if there was a 4th one where then you had to decide which benefit you wanted over the others, so it wouldn't be the same every time you played. Yeah. Or there are different ways you could approach it.
That's true. But for the 4 partnership zoos, you have to upgrade your association.
True. So maybe if there was an additional spot that then you can only do that once you upgraded the association or something for the universities.
Yeah, maybe. That would be,
Yeah, if there was like one extra one where it made the decision tough, because when you grab the universities, it's like, okay, well, this is the last one I don't have, so I'll just grab that one. That's true. Now I'm done with that. But
maybe the expansion has that, where you can upgrade all 5 somehow.
Or I guess you wouldn't have to change the track. There would still be 3 spots, but if there was one more to choose from is what I'm saying. So you could never have all of the universities in your zoo. At most, there would always be one that you couldn't have. Because it's the same with everything else that you can upgrade.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the feedback that we had. But to sandwich it... we're
going to hit something positive. So we have a little Lupin update. He decided that he got scared of me when we were on the couch.
Yeah.
Because my arm had kind of like... it didn't swing. So Lupin's very good at tricks. And when I want him to come sit by me, I'll tap the couch. You know, like you do with dogs. People just kind of tap and they're like, come here. Or up. And I do that with Lupin. And I didn't know that he was on the edge of the couch. So when I tapped it, it must have freaked him out. Because he must have been touching or leaning up against the couch, and the vibration must have, bothered him. But he was like, meow! And then he ran, jumped onto the table, and then he didn't realize that the game was there. So the big, long mat in the game, he got on, and he slid, and then everything just went everywhere. All over the ground. And then he, looked at me, and I got up, and then he freaked out. thinking that he was going to get in trouble, so that he jumped and then pretending to start cleaning himself. I was all like, I know you weren't cleaning yourself. You were not doing that. I was like, I'm not mad. I'm just here to clean it up, cat.
Yeah, that gave me anxiety. Wait, this was a positive thing? Or
it was a Lupin update.
Oh, Lupin update. Okay.
Lupin updates are always positive. Everyone wants to hear about Lupin, okay? And they had the shoe bill. I think I said that they had the shoe bill story. I think I said that in the first play, right?
Yeah, I got the shoe bill a couple times.
Yeah, you did.
I was excited.
I was so bitter when you got it. I was just like, no, that one was mine, because it was in the middle where you could snap, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was waiting to get that. Why would you get that from me? And then the other positive one is that I liked that there were certain cards that... So the petting zoo, for example. Yeah. You were really good at the petting zoo. When you had laid down the petting zoo, you could... what is it called when you stack up points? Chain points?
Yeah.
You could chain points with the petting zoo depending on the cards you got. They would be like, get whatever 3 points for every animal you had in the petting zoo. So there was one turn when you got like 9 points.
Yeah, because the first one you place will be 3, then the next one you place will get you 6, and then the last one you place will get you 9.
Yeah.
So that's a good number of points. And I went for the petting zoo almost every game.
You did.
Because I'd get the goat, I'd get the guinea pig. One time I got a horse. The petting zoo was probably my favorite, honestly.
It was. Every time I saw a petting zoo card in my hand, I was just like, oh, I don't want this.
Did you ever do the petting zoo?
No, I never did the petting zoo.
Not once?
And it's funny because I had put the guinea pig in the discard pile, and you had played like a bird or something that got to shuffle the discard pile. And you got the guinea pig. I was like, how? And you were like, it's the universe.
It's meant to be.
It's the universe wanting you to have this guinea pig.
Yeah. Well, we went to the pet store the other day.
We did.
And we passed by the hamster and guinea pig. All the hamsters were gone for some reason. But there was one guinea pig specifically. I was like, this guinea pig looks so sweet and adorable.
You say that every time we go.
It's today the day.
And and then I looked at it and it ran away. So no, today is not the day.
It was super skittish. It started like hopping around. I was like, this looks like my guinea pig.
We can't have a skittish guinea pig because Lupin exists within the same space. We need a tough guinea pig.
To sandwich it for me, I would say out of all of our plays, I would say the last 3 games that we played were by far my favorite because it felt tense.
Yes.
When we were looking at it as a race, I was sweating bullets as we got down to what I assumed were the last couple of rounds within the game. And there was one, I think it was our last game that I ended up winning. I was crunching numbers in my head and thinking, okay, if I end the game right now, I might not get the maximum number of points, but if I can stretch it on one more round, I could get a lot of points because I have this card I can get in my zoo, then I can get this conservation project completed, then you get a bunch more points. And anyway, so I had this whole plan, and so I did it just purposely where I prolonged the game, and then I ended the round right before you had a chance to have another turn within it, so I would get a bunch of money, by doing that sponsor thing where you can use the track to get money. So I did that. Then I had enough money to play the elephant, which then gave me an extra end of game.
Oh yeah, it was the elephant.
That was my favorite game out of them, not just because I won, but because it felt so tense.
You want to know my favorite
if she made just the right move, it would make me lose. But you also had a game like that towards the end, too.
Yeah, it was the second to last game where I filled my map and I forgot to count the points or whatever. You took your turn and then it got back to me and I was sitting there and I was like, oh wait, I have 7 points, and then it triggered the end of game because I crossed.
Oh, but you filled your map?
Yeah, and you were like, wait, no, this is not how I would take my last move. And I was like, okay, well then how would you take your last move? We could dial back and you could redo your last move. And you were like, oh no, there's nothing I could do. And I was like, yeah.
Well, in my head, I had one more turn. And then you were like, oh, it actually should have ended on my turn, were triggered, and then the other person gets one more turn. So you actually just took your last turn. So the game's over. Like, what? No.
Yeah, but I let you maybe take it back, and you said no, there's nothing I could do.
No, it's fine. But I would say that Ark Nova is a game not to be played once or twice, to be played enough times for you to get the hang of the nature of the game, of being fast-paced and race-like once you get into it. So for us, like 6 or 7 plays.
Don't play them all in a row. You can play them throughout the year. Because doing 10 games of this was long.
It took us a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks at least. So,
yeah.
Julie.
Yes, David.
It comes down to this moment. Will this game be crowned by the court's laughter and bestowed upon the jester's shelf, or will it be given a fond farewell with trumpets and tumbles?
I like the double T's there. Trumpets,
trumpets and tumbles. I try to make it sound positive, because if we didn't like the game, it wouldn't have made it all the way to the 10.
Gambit.
Yeah, exactly. So
I would say it gets the trumpet and tumbles because we are trying to get our shelf ultimately, which sounds wild, but we're ultimately trying to get it down to the 10 games.
Our 10 lifetime best games of all time.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll get harder, but, to minimize the difficulty ahead of time, I would say that this would have the trumpets and tumbles.
The fond farewell.
The fond farewell.
I would agree because I had a lot of fun, but when I think about, would this be one that I would request that we play over a game like Le Havre, Agricola, or Castles of Burgundy? I don't think so. I think that it's a little bit too long for us, and there's other games I would rather play ahead of this. So
yeah, we
that's
have
okay.
So many games in our future. So
well, thank you for taking this amazing journey into the land of Ark Nova, which we don't even really quite know what the land is, but it's a place where there's zoos.
It could be anything. It could be Dave's Zoo, Julie's Zoo, Lupin's Zoo.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you got a chance to name your zoo. I guess you could just
name it, yeah. Just like I named some of the animals, you just name it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for taking that journey with me as well. And thank you so much for listening to us this week. We would love to hear if you've played and what you liked about it. Actually, I want to hear what your favorite animal is, okay? We talk about board games all the time. I get that's why you're listening is board games. But I want to know what your favorite animal is. I want to know about you.
In the world or in the game?
Sure, let's do it in the game. What's your favorite animal in Ark Nova? It can be because of its special ability. It could be because of, its cuteness. It could be the sheer size that it takes up in your zoo. Anything. I want to hear your favorite animal in Ark Nova. That's what I want to hear about. So be sure to join us next week as we discuss. What are we discussing next week?
We're going to do a resummoning of the Bloody Inn.
Oh,
That's
yes.
what I'm feeling. It's time. It's that season. I want to play that game. So we're going to get back in. I have an expansion for it too.
I love that. Let's do that. Be sure to join us for that. And come over to our Instagram. Our Instagram is DiceyJesters. There you'll find photos of Dave and I, Lupin, pictures of gameplay, and some random photos in between for whatever we're feeling, Get little updates and stuff. And then you can also join us on YouTube. Our YouTube is DiceyJesters. We're also on Patreon. Our Patreon is DiceyJesters as well. There you could see me fidgeting with my new fidget toy, I guess.
AKA how to distract Dave when he's trying to take his turn.
Yeah, and that was during one of the plays of Ark Nova. So you could see it on there if you want to. If you're like Dave and it would send you 0 to 100, then I don't recommend watching it.
I'll attribute my loss of these 10 rounds of the game to the...
What? I didn't get the new clicker until
No, that's up for debate.
No. We had 4 games left. But yeah, thank you so much. And as always, play games with the ones you love.